about that. Hello everyone, welcome to 10 Minutes Astrology. Once a week, Alejo and I will be here, share astrology view and study astrology with you. Hi Alejo, how are you?
Hi Rod, how are you? Hi everyone, thank you for being here again.
Yeah, well, I'm very well. So yes, today we're going to have a very, very interesting discussion. But before we started, I think it's the final call for the important event in March. So we have the Astrological Association, right, hosted by Alejo, the Astrology Duet.
On the 15th of March, yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're going to be having Roy Gillett and Amanda Williams talking about the Jupiter semi-square Neptune. So if you're interested in understanding what's happening today in the world, you should attend 15th of March, 7 p.m. UK. It's free, just go to astrologicalassociation.com and you can sign up.
Definitely. And then in AOA UK, we have Liam McCarthy going to talk about the Juno and series. But I want to share important information because you just remind me someone and I think, oh, they have event coming up. So STS School, our friend Wade Cave, he is hosting a event called the World Astrology Summit. It's about mundane astrology. If you are interested in the astrology related to political, economy, social, cultural, social movement, even climate change. And this is the most important event you don't want to miss. It's on the 30th and the 31st of March, and then you go to visit Wade Cape's website. I will share a link here, and that will be a very interesting event if you want to share. But I think I maybe say that because they're unconsciously working up our topic today. Saturn is seventh.
So today we're talking about Saturn the 7th, and so the 7th house is about other people, right? And
Yes.
relationships, our relationships. So the idea of how we relate to others. So if we have Saturn in the 7th, a lot of people might think that relationships become hard and difficult. I think a lot of so maybe there's this sense of relationships are not for me, relationships never work. There's a sense of restriction when it comes to building relationships. Again, as usual, the Saturn and the exposure of ourselves to its restrictions and limitations, what it's asking of us is to find the essence. What is the essential nature of the relationships that we want to create, the relationship that we need for ourselves? So when we get to mature, our sense of the way we approach others, our sense of love, our sense of how we cling or not cling, or depend or not depend on others, and all of these things that happen in a relationship. When we get to examine all of this, we mature the way we relate with others, and we grow, and we can actually create a long-lasting, stable relationship. Because Saturn, one of the things that does is to promise duration of things through time. So what we experience first as a restriction actually then become like this kind of wise understanding of how relationships work, and may allow us to create a long-lasting and mature relationship. It could also be that perhaps the people we're attracted to have a Saturnian nature. So perhaps we find authority in others. We are looking for people that have a kind of paternal or authoritative quality on us. And it could also be something very literal, like someone older than us, or it could be more something in the way we relate. We look for somebody who gives us a sense of grounding, somebody that tells you, no, come on, you're overspending money. So first the person will probably struggle with that, and we say, oh, I'm so bad in relationships, I'm so unlucky, I'm always meeting people that are telling me I cannot do this, I cannot do that. And perhaps with time we say, actually, this person are expressing my Saturn, they are helping me ground myself and understand what are my boundaries and my limitations. So then we start appreciating that. So of course, I'm overgeneralizing. I'm not saying that everybody who's going through that experience is because they have Saturn in the 7th. I'm not saying that every time you have Saturn in the 7th, that's going to be your experience. But I think there is this flavor of this questioning of who is the authority when we create relationships if Saturn is in the 7th.
Yeah, I really like this idea. And when you're talking about because seventh house, most people would think about partnership, competitive, and also marriage. And you just remind me one of our client when I doing the chart with them, and it was pretty interesting. It kind of a, I shouldn't say a complaint about my partner, but I just wish he could be a little bit more fun. Faced by
Yeah.
a Saturn, a person who has a Saturn in the seventh house, I would just like, but who choose this partner? And I think about for what reason you choose this partner rather than complain what he did, what he couldn't be, or he could be maybe, but you have to find it out with the time. You say, what do
Yes.
you mean?
Yes.
I say with Saturn in the seventh house, it's more likely we choose this person for his professional skill or maturity or reliability or practical function. But Saturn is not very easy to get with fun. So yes, that would be usually we go into talking about that. Okay, so how
But
about
I mean,
yep,
can I
please.
just add, like this person with
Yeah.
Saturn in the seventh, probably when they meet somebody who's joyful and more, not joyful, because it doesn't mean that Saturn in the seventh will meet
Uh-huh.
boring people, but when they
Yeah.
meet, when when they have this idea of somebody who's more fun, perhaps they will see somebody who's more fun, they will see it as childish and too naive, so they don't feel attracted to that. It's like
Oh.
they, probably like you're saying, would you really be dating somebody who's more fun? Probably you will find it shallow because with Saturn in the seventh, you're looking for something else.
100% agree with you. I don't want to share my chart. I don't have a Saturn in the seventh, but I do have a Saturn related things in the seventh house. So I 100% agree with you. If you give me someone fun, I would just like, okay. So what is our today's example, chart example, Alejo?
So our day example, I think it's a very interesting example. I
Yeah.
hope you find it interesting. This is Queen Elizabeth. You cannot see her
Mm,
full name. Queen Elizabeth of England, Elizabeth I. So 7th
yeah.
of September, 1533,
Wow.
2:54 p.m. Of course, she's a queen.
Yeah.
We know perfectly the time of birth because they were all looking at when she was born, what was happening. This is
Yeah.
in Greenwich, the UK.
Yeah.
She's Capricorn rising, which means her
Yeah.
Saturn is something that will define her personality because Saturn rules Capricorn. And Saturn is, interestingly enough, exactly in the opposite side of the chart. So it's in the opposite sign, Cancer, and in the opposite house, the seventh, which
Mm-hmm.
means that a lot of my identity will be defined by the people I meet, by the people I make associations with, or you could
Mm-hmm.
say also by my enemies, if you want, with the
Mm-hmm.
seventh house, which I think
Yeah.
really applies to Queen Elizabeth I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is when you have a Saturn in the seventh house, you really like the so-called marriage with political things. There's a strong, powerful themes there. So well, they may be willing to think about the more practical reason in the partnership.
Yes, very interesting. I also find it interesting that Saturn is in Cancer. So this idea that, okay, we're not doing Saturn by signs, I know, we're doing by
Yeah,
houses.
yeah,
I can't avoid to say, because she was married to English, actually she couldn't find the right suitor, right? So it was so hard for
yeah,
her to find the right suitor. And there's this whole story about this man she was in love with and all
yeah,
that happened. So it's interesting probably how she did feel these restrictions in her love life because of her position, because of who she was. Again, the first
mm-hmm.
house was this connection.
Yeah,
And she ended up saying, I'm married to England. This idea,
yeah,
that she's married to the entire country. And I think it's
yeah,
interesting, Saturn in Cancer being in the
yeah. That
seventh
is
house. I
really
mean,
interesting. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
also the seventh house cusp is in Cancer, so it's ruled by the moon. So her partner, in a queen's chart, the moon could represent the people. So her
Yeah.
partner is the people,
Yeah. Well,
country,
this is
lands.
very interesting chart. I think the Saturn is her first house ruler. So therefore, is herself in the partnership with herself. But she look in the partnership is so important in this chart. So and then I mean if use a little bit advanced, we will say the Saturn's dispositor is the moon, as you just mentioned the moon. Saturn's dispositor is the moon, and the moon is conjunct IC homeland. She is kind of the the concept of her house or her land, her country are more important, has
Yes.
impact, has something to say to her partnership and the marriage. It's very interesting to see the chart like this. Thank you, Alejo, for sharing the chart with us. Well, so thanks, Alejo, and thanks everyone for listening and watch 10 Minutes Astrology. Well, next week, I wish I can avoid it because it's Saturn in 8th house.
Come on, why should we avoid? Everything is good with it. We're not gonna
Everything
judge.
is good, to be honest. Yeah, everything is good. Yeah. So, well, thanks everyone, and I'm going to see you next week. Bye bye.
Everyone, bye bye.